Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are unpacking a complete master plan for homeowners out in the Northbrook and Glenview areas. We're looking at exactly what it takes to upgrade from an old, clunky septic system to a shiny new municipal sewer connection and doing it without all the massive headaches. You know, it sounds like a basic plumbing job, right? But as you'll see, it's actually a major infrastructure project happening literally right in your own front yard. So are you ready to finally ditch that septic tank? Because honestly, it is a highly practical and super beneficial move for any homeowner. Getting off a private septic setup and tying into the municipal system, that can boost your property value, slash your long-term maintenance stress, and just give you incredible peace of mind. It's a fantastic upgrade for sure. But here's the catch. It's absolutely crucial to understand exactly what you're signing up for before the digging even starts.
Because, well, here's the reality of it. It takes a whole lot more than just a quick phone call to your local plumber. We are talking about a seriously complex project here. You have to pull specific permits, carefully coordinate with local utilities, and navigate this massive maze of hidden costs. You absolutely need a rock-solid blueprint before you even think about breaking ground. And that is exactly what we are going to build together right now.
Okay, let's dive into this. We're going to follow a 5-step homeowner's blueprint to put you in control of this project from day one. We're looking at eligibility and scope requirements, permits and required inspections, calculating the true costs, timelines and utility coordination, and lastly, the essential questions to ask.
All right, let's start with part 1, eligibility and scope requirements, setting the foundation.
Now, what's really interesting about this is that you might assume just because you live in Northbrook or Glenview, you can just hook right up, right? Well, actually, no. Eligibility is not a given. As a homeowner, you have to actively confirm your specific address. Can you connect? That completely depends on your exact location, whether there's an existing sewer main near your property, and what your current wastewater setup looks like. And once you know you can connect, you've got to define the scope. What exactly does the municipality expect from you? Where is the exact connection point going to be? What are their rules regarding the curb or the property line? And crucially, does their side of the job include fixing your landscaping, or is that entire mess on you?
Moving right along to our second step, permits and required inspections, navigating the bureaucracy.
Look, this isn't just swapping out a kitchen sink. You're dealing with public infrastructure that's supposed to last for decades, not to mention strict public health standards. And that means strict compliance. Municipal sewer projects demand a really tight workflow between you, your licensed contractors, and the local public works department. Step 1 is simply getting your approved plans and contractor info totally dialed in. Then comes step 2, which is vital, the pre-cover inspection. The city literally has to see the pipes before you bury them. And finally, step 3 is the final tie-in inspection to make sure everything flows seamlessly into the municipal system. Every single milestone has to be documented and triple-checked.
Which brings us to part 3, calculating the true costs, the hidden iceberg. So the crucial point here is wrapping your head around the full financial picture. You do not want to get blindsided by massive budget surprises midway through a dig. It's really like a giant iceberg. What you expect to pay, the municipal connection charges and the basic permitting fees, that's just the tip of the iceberg poking out above the water. It's the easy stuff to budget for. But what actually happens, that lurks deep beneath the surface. We're talking internal plumbing updates just to route your home's wastewater properly, massive property-side excavation, running external pipes all the way out to the street, and then, the real kicker, landscaping restoration.
To put a finer point on it, here is exactly what falls squarely into your out-of-pocket responsibilities. You're paying for the licensed contractor labor. You're paying for all the building and property-side piping. You own the private property excavation, plus the backfill once those pipes are actually in the ground. You are completely on the hook for surface restoration. So if they tear up your driveway, your sidewalk, or your prized rose bush, yeah, you're paying to fix it. And please don't forget the inspection fees, or worse, the reinspection costs if your contractor messes up and has to make changes. I literally cannot urge you strongly enough, get a highly detailed, comprehensive written estimate up front before a single shovel hits the dirt.
Let's keep moving to step 4, timelines and utility coordination, expecting the delays.
Let's see how this builds and talk about how long this muddy process is actually going to take. Even with incredibly straightforward permits, your timeline is going to stretch across multiple phases. You've got the application review, which might just take a few days, but then scheduling the actual sewer main work, that can take weeks. The physical installation itself might only be a couple of days, but that's followed by even more days just sitting around waiting for the final inspection and acceptance. You really have to map out this realistic sequence of events, making sure to align your contractor's availability with the municipal inspection windows right out of the gate. But as we all know, things rarely go perfectly according to schedule. You have to factor in the delay X factors. A heavy rainstorm, that can completely halt your excavation. Unexpected soil conditions, like hitting solid rock or super unstable ground, can slow the whole operation to an absolute crawl. And then there are access limitations. Maybe you have large, mature trees or existing underground utilities blocking the path. Documenting these site-specific conditions early on is absolutely critical if you want to prevent last-minute, incredibly expensive redesigns.
And hey, speaking of site conditions, we've got to talk about septic abandonment. Your old septic system doesn't just magically vanish into thin air the second you hook up to the city sewer. Septic abandonment is the legally required process of safely decommissioning your existing septic components. It is a necessary, non-negotiable part of your overall project plan. Dealing with old, buried tanks can seriously complicate site access. It usually requires its own specific set of permits, and it absolutely must be factored into both your timeline and your budget.
Finally, we reach step 5, essential questions to ask. Your final toolkit.
This is where we turn the tables, transforming you from just a passive applicant into an active, fully informed project manager. And this brilliantly illustrates the exact targeted questions you absolutely must ask your local public works department before you hire a single contractor or buy any materials. Ask them, what is the precise application submission process? Where, down to the exact inch, is the connection point relative to my property line? What are the required inspections, and when exactly do they happen? What fees apply, and what specific work is included versus what is my sole responsibility? Oh, and are there specific restoration standards required for my private property?
If we distill this entire explainer down to a single core strategy for Northbrook and Glenview homeowners, it is this. Verify your requirements and eligibility, secure your permits early, confirm the exact scope and costs in writing, and meticulously align your contractor schedule with the utility schedule. Taking these calculated steps before anyone starts digging is quite literally the only way to ensure the project moves efficiently from that initial application to the final glorious flush of approval.
Which leaves us with one final, vital question you really need to ask yourself today. Before that first shovel hits the dirt, are you and your municipality on the exact same page? Proactive preparation is the absolute key to preserving both your project budget and, well, your driveway. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Get out there, take control of your blueprint, and I'll see you next time.